good afternoon all. This is Trader72. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you are all well and had an amazing weekend. I certainly did. It was full of gardening, which I somehow or another way got involved in, and played some tennis on Friday night. I had a fantastic match, especially after a couple of weeks out with an injury. Played some golf as well a little bit before that, and chilled out, very much chilled out for the whole of Sunday, which was well needed as I was aching all over after this very mad, busy time of sports. Even at my age, I don't seem to recall that I recoup that fast these days. It seems to me that it takes a few days to recoup. But anyway, apart from that, it's been very pleasant. The weather was good, which was always nice in London when it is. But yeah, please let me know what you're up to down below in the comments. But without further ado, let's go back to business for a minute, really. It's been a busy old time today. We've had some major news, which we'll come to. So before we do that, I'll just do a quick recap on the weekend. I'm sure most of you are well aware what's going on. I'm sure you would have kept in touch. And then just a preview of the week as well, and where we're at with this situation with the Middle East conflict, and in terms of also my portfolio at the moment. I did actually trim one of my positions just this afternoon, which I will let you guys know in a bit. But in terms of just to kind of recap, obviously I'm a retail investor, been in for the last 11 years. This is more about, for me, cathartic to kind of recap on what's been happening and just kind of also show some people what it's like to be a small retail investor in this big, wide pond of investors. I'm sure some of you may have started. This is, probably catered more towards people that have just started or people that have been around for a little while who just want to know a bit more, information that they might have missed on or they want to confirm. I know how lonely it can get in terms of, being an investor or a retail investor on your own working from home, where you do get the news, but it's nice to get confirmation from other people, which is what I do myself many of times when I want to get confirmation of some latest news. Obviously, the news don't come that quickly unless you dig for it quite a lot. And obviously now with various different AI platforms, you can get information a lot quicker than I did when I first started back 11 years ago. So it has changed a lot since then. So yeah, I'm just here to, any questions you may ask, please, do ask. I'm always happy to answer, and just go through the same journey together and there's no BS here. This is purely straightforward, me, where I'm at. I've started an account for this specific YouTube channel. I've got one other account, but this one I started, so it's really, my losses, my wins, and obviously what I do in terms of strategy, which I tend to do on a regular basis for buying stocks and having a certain criteria. So I'm waffling on now, but obviously if you watch my previous videos, you will know what I'm talking about in terms of value investing and also maybe buying in on a long-term basis or middle long-term basis, depending on the stock and the strategy. But I have a strict criteria now that I abide to, which has helped a lot in the past 6 months since I've gone to it. But at the moment, as you will probably see, my portfolio is in the red pretty much. It has been a tough market, so I've started this really right in the thick of it. So without further ado, let's kind of look at the current situation at the moment. So before we go to the headlines here, oops, that's my Sky Sports 6, sorry, apologies there, which I still play on a regular basis. Weekend escalation. So it started with the weekend really with an escalation in terms of panic because Trump said that he would escalate the situation by if they don't open up the Strait of Hormuz, and he would effectively target a certain installation in Iran. So it looked like he was going to basically give him 48 hours to do something about it, which obviously I knew would happen, would be that the opening on the markets would spike straight away on first thing on Monday morning. It did spike to $110 a barrel, and above that it was about 112, 113, and that's how we started the week. So US indices obviously pulled back, everything was in the red, fear of inflation, recession, the whole caboodle that goes with the noise that is the Middle East conflict at the moment. So there was certainly a risk-off situation there on the markets to start off with. Now, early Monday morning chaos, as we know, Dow's down 300 points. The ultimatum was still standing. Iran threatened back by saying that they would target, obviously, themselves, energy installation all around the Middle East, which would have caused probably further chaos. And that's how we were this morning, up to about mid-morning this morning on Monday morning. But then, suddenly, we had a major headline. Mr. Trump was at it again on the truth subject, on the truth social media, and that he announced a 5-day pause on strike. So we went from Friday, if I seem to recall, going that there'll be a de-escalation of the war and that they've reached their target, to suddenly a threat within 24 hours that he would give them 40 hours to not bomb the rest of the installation that Iran has, to now backtrack to a 5-day pause on strike. Now, either he's playing a very clever tactical 5D chessboard of I am, I'm not, I am, I'm not. But the markets obviously go with it, and it's been literally the most volatile market for a while, as we know from the VIX, which obviously gives you an idea of the gauge of fear of the market, which currently was at 26 this morning. It has come down further down, obviously, on the back end of this news. So, productive talks were apparently the talk of the night. As we see here, we'll go to the headlines. Obviously, Wall Street soars on Middle East de-escalation. So he basically says that based on the tenor and tone of these conversations, we will continue throughout the week. Trump said that he instructed the Pentagon to postpone any military strike against Iranians. However, Iranian state TV has denied any of these talks. So who is to know where we're all standing here? It's complete madness, but it is what it is when we're dealing with the war, Trump, and the Middle East conflict at the moment. They will not do anything. They will not talk until there is a prerequisite to end the war, and that will be the Strait of Hormuz opening up. The Strait of Hormuz, just by the way, has 20% of supply of oil through the world. It's a huge, it's a huge, small canal. It's a huge bottleneck there, and it's been stopped by obviously the Iranians so far. So there's been a complete standstill, bar a few tankers going through, which I think were Chinese or Indian at this stage. They negotiated their own way out of that. So so it's complete. It's where we're at the moment, really. So he's saying there's productive talks and could be very productive and could stop the war. On the other hand, the Iranians are denying any of these talks are happening. And will continue the hostilities until the bombing stops completely. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. Now, who's telling what? I have no idea. I am neutral on this. I will stay out of it. I'm only going on what the news are. So based on back on this situation at the moment, really, that's where we are now. Huge down the future. Obviously, the futures or the markets at this stage obviously went stratospheric. Literally, they literally went up, and as you can see there, up nearly 1,000 points to 2.22 on the Dow. The Nasdaq is up 480 points to 2%. So a huge up on the market. Crude oil dropped 10 to 12%, down to now $101 a barrel. It was at $112.13 when the news were announced. So literally on Trump's announcement, 10% drop. So amazing, really, in terms of that side of it. Now, what does it mean in terms of going forward? Now, let's go back to again. Oops, it's me again. There we go. I'm not with it this morning. So going forward now. So obviously the bull case on this is de-escalation, big catalyst, oil falling, lower inflation expectations now a little bit. So that's where we're at the moment. So I don't think there's going to be a lot further, I think, until we know what the talks are about and if they are ongoing, or whether this is a strategic way for the US to rethink things through and work out what they're going to do and what they're going to hit next. I don't know. I mean, this is really down to the Americans to decide. Now, is it strategic? I don't know. And I think everybody is waiting on tender hooks. But it certainly has taken the pressure off the markets for now. So that's the news on today's news. The major takeaway really is that the 5-day pause of the attack on Iran, and especially the energy sector of Iran at the moment. That's the main thing. Now going forward, we've got also just a couple of economical news to look forward for this week. All the major season earnings are pretty much over now for the US. So that's pretty quiet on that side. So we're looking at a final GDP reading where expectations will be 2 to 3% range. So that is what we're expecting, that number. PCE, which obviously is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, is expected to be also looked at as well. I think it's tomorrow, but we can go through that again at some stage. So we'll have to wait and see. And of course, you've got jobless claims coming up and housing data as well. And then oil inventories on the back end of it. So that's the news coming up economically for this week. We can, if you guys wanted me to cover that, I could certainly do that. Not a problem at all. So moving forward to the latest news, obviously in terms of the recovery from this today, it's been certainly everybody's gone back into, some sectors have gone back into green, all sectors, but banks and airlines obviously jumped amongst that because obviously they're the most directly involved. So that's where we are at the moment. Any other news there I should comment? Well, no, that's pretty much it. So what does it mean in terms of my situation with oil? Because obviously, as you may well recall, or probably not, I did buy short on crude oil. I didn't believe that the war would last that much longer. I bought initially short. When I mean short, against the price of oil going up, but more going down. So I bought at 92 initially dollars a barrel. Obviously, it went up another $10. There was the whole crisis of the escalations went up again another notch, so it went up to 113, and then I bought again at $102 a barrel, but I have just trimmed that position now. I have got rid of the 102 tranche that I had, made a very small profit on it, but I needed to sell it because I wanted to pay off some of my fees, because obviously for every night I hold the stocks I have to pay a fee, a little bit like some of the big investors that pay off certain indemnizations. So I thought, at the moment it's a stalemate. 102 is a kind of the middle of the ground. I think if it was going to go up and spike again, I'll be better off buying at 115 to $112 a barrel and above that. Instead of holding it at 102 where it was pretty much quite near the 92, the first tranche I bought. So I decided to trim it, sell it, made about 50-60 quid, and again, this is transparency on it. Paid a few of my fees off for holding S&P Global and Visa and Adobe, and also my crude oil, which is pretty cheap to hold overnight. But obviously that's a spread betting account, and of course you have to pay a certain fee for holding those accounts every night, for some of you who don't know. So at the moment as it stands, I am still left with a crude oil position of £190 loss, as you can see there at the price that I bought it at 92. And now I'm going to sit on it to see if what's going to happen next. Now, I'm not going to buy right now the 102. I think what I'll do is, like I said, if it goes anywhere above 110, I will be back in and short again. My reasoning behind it is I think the war is there to stay for a while. It won't de-escalate. It won't just disappear. But I just don't think it will last forever, just due to the global pressures of oil going up, and economically as well. And I think that everybody is looking for potential some kind of agreement eventually. Now, I may well be wrong. Please do not, obviously, go straight and buy some crude oil short. It could well spike back up again now to 120, 130. But I certainly will be looking at buying further up than what I did initially. So it pays up the fees. Great all around. I've kept my main position at 92. I would think that the price of oil will probably go back if everything goes into plan and a peace process is happening. The Strait of Hormuz reopens. We're probably looking at something like $80 a barrel, probably. I don't think it'll go back to 70, the early 70s immediately for a while yet anyway. So I think even if I've bought at 92 and I don't buy any more, it'd still be a $10 profit on the barrel on the barrel, per barrel, so to speak. So it's probably, you know, £200-300 profit on that at the moment. I bought very small amounts, so I was very careful on that respect. So that's crude oil. That's my news at the moment. Adobe, Adobe was jumped to 250 initially, but it's pulled back to 246. Same old story with Adobe. I'm kind of stuck with that one really at the moment. I love the stock, but the price is just rotten at the moment. People just don't have the belief that it will move on into the AI world and the monetization of AI. I've gone through this quite a few times. S&P Global, I've kept obviously as it is. This is a long-term buy at the moment. 2 tranches there at the moment. One is up about £68. The other one is down £68. Great position at 421. Yes, I could have probably got rid of the 435 and maybe wait it out and buy it cheaper again. I personally love the stock. I think it's a great company. I did an analysis quite recently on it, so please do check it out. And Visa stock really around just above 300 during the downtime that we've had for last week. It was flirting with 300, which is the lowest it's been in almost a year or two now, and still struggling really to get back up even with the good news today. So I think obviously there's a few other issues involved in Visa, which I think is totally overblown. I think it's a great company, makes an absolute shed loads of money, has strong fundamentals, and is a main player and has a huge moat within the market it's in, them and MasterCard, I would think. So I think there's obviously a few issues with this whole interest rate cap, a little bit of competition from Europe about potentially having other credit cards, stablecoin in the background as well, which I think they will be involved in anyway. So I think it's just a question of sitting pretty. Now, I'd love to buy more, but my margins at the moment, based on what I chose to put into the account, based on the market as it stands, I don't feel it's right for me to put more money in at the moment. So I am playing with what I've got at the moment. I say playing. Well, I'm using what I've got because I'm not playing with it. There's nothing to play with when it's your own money. But I've decided that for this specific account, which I've touted for this YouTube channel, that will be the amount I have. At the moment, it's about £8,000 accounts. So I'm pretty stretched with Adobe and S&P Global. And of course, as you will know, the system of spread betting is margin calls. It's what you put down and what you get lent on the back end of it. So I have got obviously up to £2,000 or £3,000 there of margins. You do not want to exceed your margins at this stage. Obviously, 50% is what you're looking at not exceeding. So you have to be careful where you are at and where you stand before you get a margin call, which is the last thing you want. Trust me, I've had that experience and it's not pleasant. Yes, some of you may say, well, why don't you just go to a normal trading account? Well, I like doing it this way. It also means I can borrow more for certain stocks and for other various different reasons as well. So please look into it if you think that might be a way forward. If not, obviously do your own thing. And this is just for me. Please do not obviously do your own due diligence, which is important. So that's where we're at the moment. So as you can see, Visa's down by only 82, S&P Global down by 0.50p, and a crude oil back to. Now, I was down by quite a bit. I've kind of made up on my account value this morning about £800 in less than 30 minutes. So that was quite nice to see it removing back up, because I was quite down at one stage from last week's markets being topsy-turvy. So that's where my portfolio is at the moment. So just again, crystal clear, no bullshit here. This is me saying what it is in that respect. And hope you appreciate that, because obviously I have got another account at the moment, which obviously is in a slightly better place. But obviously this is a brand new account, so we're moving into that side of it. So there you go. I hope I haven't waffled too much. It's been good to be back and just kind of recap on the day. Like I said, it's really good for me to do it anyway. If you guys have got any questions about going forwards, there's a more analysis coming up. There will be actually going forward, which I'm working on at the moment, a top 3 a countdown on 3 stock analysis. I won't go into it too much at the moment, based on sportswear companies. So that will be quite interesting. A 3-2-1 countdown to what I think might be potentially good to buy in at some stage in the future. Again, based on my criteria, but that will drop hopefully later on this week. Please subscribe and like, obviously. Before I go, obviously, just a quick check up on some of the companies I've been tracking as well. As you can see there, Microsoft 382 in a great spot, way off, and it got a great margin of safety there. Meta as well, I've added to the list as well at 602. So again, at a great discount, I think, off its intrinsic price. Visa, obviously. United Healthcare, a big drop on United Healthcare today, again at 270. Could be a sweet spot in terms of buying in there. And Sprout has pulled back from the mid-80s there. It looks like the actual rally is slightly running out of steam. Again, another great stock, but I'm not quite sure if it's worth going in yet as yet. But it looks like Meta and Microsoft, in terms of tech, are definitely worth tracking. And if we look at quickly before we go, my latest chart that I've been updated, Microsoft currently is at 21% discount off its intrinsic price of 481 with a growth of 12%. Now, that's been quite conservative. I think even 14% growth on its DCF model might be quite a good bet as well. So that would obviously augment the actual intrinsic price. I've also updated Visa and MasterCard, both now at 26% discount. So again, worth having a look at there in terms of what I mean discount and MOS off its intrinsic price based on the DCF model on a discounted free cash flow, 10 years. So again, please check that out. You know my system. I've mentioned it quite a few times. Happy to go through it again if you guys want me. Comment below in terms of me giving you a bit more of a formula how that works. And Meta, I've updated as well this morning, and it looks like Meta, believe it or not, is at 30% discount, which is well in my ballpark of where I would normally look at. 25 to 30% would be my threshold at 854. Now, that's being fairly expensive in terms of growth at 16%. But Meta has been up there. And again, my analysis this morning will prove this if you check one of my latest uploads from today. So that's where we are. So I just thought I'd throw that one in there. I have been talking at you guys maybe a bit too long now, but it's, always good to share. Sharing is caring, as they say. So that's where we are now. So on these wise words, it's Trader72. Please subscribe and like, as I mentioned. I'm going to say it one more time. If you've enjoyed this or any question, please do make comments below. And I will be back for the next analysis, which will be obviously the three I mentioned now. And any news specifically, I will obviously do a quick show on the back end of that. Any major news that would happen. Let's see what happens this week. Let's see if this pause by Trump over the Iranian conflict will last. We shall see. This will be definitely interesting. It's over now. Speak to you soon. Bye bye, guys. Take care.